What is going on, guys? We are back playing some more Surviving with ActuallyAdditions. And today, guys, we're going to be messing around with the Atomic Reconstructor, but we're going to be doing something a little bit different than we've done so far. So up until this point, we've used the Atomic Reconstructor to turn vanilla items into ActuallyAdditions versions of those items, which is all well and good. It's allowed us to get all these fun things we've messed around with so far because we need the ActuallyAdditions versions for crafting. But unfortunately, it's a little bit lackluster, and we actually can do something about that today, and we're going to change it by adding a lens to it. Now, there's a bunch of different lenses that you can add to the front of this, and the main idea behind them is they're going to alter what that big pulse of energy that comes out whenever you hit it, that pulse right there, they're going to change what that does whenever it hits a block. Now, we're going to be using the lens of the miner today, which is, in my opinion, the coolest and most useful one. Now, there are a bunch of other ones. If we look right here, you can see them. Lens of color, detonation, certain death, killer, disenchanting, and miner. And I'm sure a lot of you guys are like, whoa, detonation, certain death, and killer, those sound awesome. They're pretty cool, but I don't think they're as useful. So hopefully you'll bear with me in learning about lenses, and maybe you'll think this one's pretty cool at the end too. So what this is going to allow us to do with the lens of the miner is turn regular stone blocks that are placed down and get hit with that pulse of energy into a random ore. Now, it is weighted in favor of certain types of ores. Typically, the less rare ones are the ones that are going to turn up more often, but you do have the option of getting every single ore in the game, so I do think it is a viable option in terms of, not really a quarry or something, but it's essentially going to be that late game, and I'll talk about that a little bit more in depth once we get the setup going. But just know that this is viable if you've got good power generation to be your ore generating setup. So it's actually relatively cheap to get going. The reason I say that this is not going to be one for early game is just because of the amount of raw energy you need to actually turn a block. It's going to use 60,000 crystal flux plus a certain amount of energy depending on the rarity of whatever ore you're turning stuff into. So it's going to use less power if you're turning it into coal than if you were turning something into diamond, but the main chunk of energy you're going to look at is roughly 60,000 crystal flux. So that is the reason I would suggest, if you are still early on, go back to my video on the vertical digger. It is a very effective way to start things off. And the only reason that we're going to talk about the lens of the miner is because of that little thing of text you see on the center of my screen right now. Done mining. Oh, it's so exciting. It's done mining. That's actually awful, because this actually goes down and it mines in an area around it. And this means that I now have to pick this up and move it. And while it has gotten a lot of resources for us, this is not enough. I don't feel like picking it up and moving it all the time, and that is why we are going to turn power into ores basically out of thin air so that we don't ever have to move it and so we never run out. Now, I probably should sleep so I don't die before we start crafting, but there actually isn't a ton of crafting today. I apologize for rambling on so much right now, but I actually don't think it's going to take that long to get through whatever we have to do today. So the first thing we need to do is craft a lens, and that's going to take 8 glass and a piece of black quartz. So here we go. We've got the lens, and now we can go and get diamond, gold, iron, coal, emerald, lapis, nether quartz, and black quartz. Notice redstone's not in there. I thought that was a little bit odd, but this is going to be the recipe, and let's see if I can remember it for making the lens of the miner. So let's do emerald, lapis, and nether quartz. No? Oh, no, it's like this. I lied. Okay, so clearly I can't remember the recipe. What is it? So it goes that. Oh, I mixed these up. Okay. There we go. So we now have the lens of the miner. My question is, what's that red part in there? There is nothing red in the recipe, so I'm a little curious what the lens of the miner, the red flecks in there are, but, whatever. No big deal. Next thing that we're going to do is make another atomic reconstructor, mainly just because by adding the lens to it and with the setup that we're going to be doing today, I don't feel like constantly having to move it whenever I need to actually do some vanilla to ActuallyAdditions items. So we're going to make a second one. I would highly advise you to, just because whatever we're making today is going to be pretty compact, and you're probably not going to be able to get in there and throw your items on the ground in front of it and remove the lens. So now we've got that. That's basically the initial setup that we need. We're going to have the energy laser relays just to get power over to it. If you're playing in a mod pack, your setup's going to be very different on a lot of different aspects, probably how you're going to get your stone, how you're going to transport your energy, but just be aware that this is using only ActuallyAdditions and vanilla Minecraft. So we've got that going. The next thing we are going to do is get the auto breaker. So that is going to be a void crystal, a basic coil, and then 7 cobblestone. and there we go. So very simple on that front. Next thing we are going to do is make kind of the most expensive part of this, which is not necessarily required, but it allows it to be more compact, and that is going to be 2 phantom redstone faces. Now, I did cover these in my last episode, but if you guys did not see that, what these essentially do is allow for wireless redstone transportation in one direction. And that might seem a little bit odd, but I'll describe it a little bit better when we actually start using it if you're sort of confused. So the recipe is 1 phantom face, which requires block vendor pearl, the 2 empowered diamantine crystals, and then the advanced coil in the chest. So this middle row right here is really where the expensive stuff comes in. It's kind of a pain in the butt to get, but I think it's worth it in the end. Now this recipe, again, pretty cheap. The empowered Restonia crystals are not hard to get. So there we go. We have our phantom redstone face, and if you don't already have this, you will need the phantom connector. It's what's going to allow you to bind whatever redstone you're having go to the phantom redstone face. So you do need this. The recipe for this is not super expensive, but you are going to need some extra ender pearls. So there you go. And lastly, I'm going to be having a bucket of lava, a bucket of water. We're going to be doing the vanilla smooth stone generation, so that's why I've got those. And then 2 sticky pistons, 2 hoppers, 2 redstone comparators, and 2 pieces of redstone. And I actually am missing one thing that I can craft right now, which is going to be a block of redstone. And you guys might know what this is for right here, this last stuff. It is for a hopper timer. Now, like I said, if you're playing in a mod pack, you might have a better timer, or you could set up a different timer in vanilla on your own. It really doesn't matter, but we're going to be using a hopper timer mainly because it's going to allow you to kind of expand your setup and change it as your power generation increases, and it'll be really easy just to take items out to make it go faster. So also going to grab half a stack of cobble just so that I can start off with that for the hopper timer. So we're going to set it up over here. I think a good spot would be probably like right here. Just going to clear out this area with my nice new drill, which I didn't know actually could be used as a shovel. So it's pretty darn nice. Clear all this out. Now this actually doesn't require a huge area, but I want to make sure I can make it look at least decent for, I guess, the thumbnail mainly. But we're going to be using some glass and some polished andesite in the end, just so that it doesn't look awful and you guys can kind of see what's going on. So the first thing that we are going to need to do, and I want to make sure I do this at the correct level, is get water in here. And the water is going to be where the ore is. Whatever level the water goes in on is going to be the level that the ore is getting generated on. So I think we're going to want to put the water on this level right here, right at eye level. So we'll put down this polished andesite right here, and we're going to put one down there. And then I'm just going to use some dirt to kind of fill this out. I think we're probably going to want... We'll do polished andesite there and there because this is just going to house the water. And then in front of it, we're going to have another block right here. And this is where the water is going to spill out. So we'll do glass right here. The ore is going to form right here. And that means that right over here, we are going to have the block breaker. So the auto breaker is going to go right there. It's going to break the ore that's put right here. And then on the other side of this, where we're standing right now, we are going to put the atomic reconstructor. So gets a little bit weird. You could put this somewhere else. Actually, you know what? Let's put it over here. I think that'll make the setup look a little bit nicer. This is not how I planned on setting it up, but this will look a lot nicer in the end. So we'll put the atomic reconstructor right there, and we'll put the glass down right in the front. And you know what? I'm going to break that, and we're going to chisel this glass. I forgot I had this, so we're going to chisel it just so it looks a little bit nicer. What do we want to go with? I like stone framed, but the gray border is also good, so we'll do gray border. So there we go. Now we can see it a little bit better. We'll be able to see what ores we're getting. And now we need to get, I guess we can throw the water in right now. And we can get rid of these. So we throw the water in, and then we need to get everything set up to put the lava in. And it needs to drop down right here. So we'll put down some more polished andesite up here. So put them down right there, and then right there, cover up the top of the water, and right there. And we will put the lava down, and it should make stone right below it. So there we go. That should be the stone that just got made. Oh my gosh, and it's getting broken. Okay, so what we need to do is grab our redstone torch, and I forgot we are going to need to toggle this because this does not require power. It's a great part about the breaker, but it doesn't require power at all. So we're going to make it so that it's set to pulse for now at least. And we're also going to set this one to pulse too. Oh, that was shift click. We're going to set that to pulse too. So everything here should be completely set up in terms of, you know, actually the structure of it. The last thing we have to do is bring power over here and get the redstone timing correct. So I guess we can kind of fill this in again. There's no real reason to, but it's just going to bother me if it's kind of like sitting out like that. So let's just fill it in. I don't even know if it's going to look nice like this. Eventually we'll have a house, I hope, but here we go. Okay, so we'll just we'll go like that. Now, the last step for this is going to be setting up the phantom redstone faces, throwing on the lens of the miner, and we should be able to do that just by right-clicking on there. There's no real block in between here, but you'd be able to see the lens of the miner actually get put on the front there, kind of as like an additional three-dimensional portion of the block. But unfortunately, we don't get to see that right now, but it's on there. And if you want to take it off, you just right-click again. And we're going to throw down 2 redstone phantom faces below here. Range is 16, so feel free to make your hopper timer as big as that range is. And I'm just going to set it up right over... I guess I can set it up right over... we'll do right over here. So, come over here. If you guys don't know how to set up a hopper timer, it's very, very simple. We'll set it up right against this wall. So you put down 1 hopper. And you know what? We're actually going to put them down... No, we have to put them down over here so that they're separated enough. So you're going to put down 1 hopper, put down the second one into that, and then go back, break it, and put it back in. So they're pushing into each other. Then you are going to grab your redstone comparators. Ooh. We might need to move this over 1 more, now that I think about it. Yeah, we're going to move this over 1 more. I don't know if we're not going to have enough room that way. Okay, so we got to do that again. Very, very quick. Okay, so like that, put down our redstone comparators out each side. Then you're going to have a block here, which is going to have a piece of redstone on it and a piece there. And you know what? We should actually use andesite for this just so that we don't end up digging it up. So we'll do andesite here. And then we are going to take our 2 sticky pistons and we're going to face them in. So you can kind of build off the redstone block. It makes it a little bit easier. So there we go. And the last piece is the block of redstone, which will get thrown down right on top. And then you're going to take your, I guess, however many you want to use. I think we're probably going to want to go with 29, and you're going to put it in there. And what it's going to do is shift from one to the other, and when it completely shifts, then it'll push it back. Now, this is kind of where it gets a little weird in terms of setting this up, and it's because of how the phantom connector is going to read blocks. So we're going to say that this position right here, we're going to right-click it, and we are going to click that on to the phantom redstone face, shift right click it onto the phantom redstone face below the atomic reconstructor. Now we're going to right click this again, and now that it's in the other position, we are going to put it on to the breaker. Now the breaker is going to go because it's got this redstone signal. You can see it's reading it, or it was reading it. If we look at this one, this is reading it as a block of redstone because it's reading that position. If we look at this one, this is reading it as a block of air, so it's getting no redstone signal, but the minute it goes back, it's a block of redstone now, so it's triggering this one. So you don't need to wire this at all. You can hide it wherever you want as long as it's in range. I'm going to keep it out just so that I can alter the cobblestone amounts in it, but very, very simple to do. And now the last piece of this puzzle is to just get power to this. So what we can do is grab this energy laser relay, and this is going to take a lot of power, I'm warning you guys. So you might want to stop this eventually, but we'll grab this and we can just hook it up from over here, assuming this has enough range. So grab that, hook it up there. This will start getting charged. And once it gets the redstone signal, it should go. It is becoming nighttime now, so I really want to sleep, but I don't want to miss this. So that one broke it, so the next time around, it should go. A lot of times it takes a while for it to be fully charged, and then it'll go. Usually it's at 200,000 before it fires off. So there we go. You can see it consumed a lot of power, turned it into coal. That'll switch over, it'll break the block, and then the whole process will happen over again. Of course, though, it's using a ton of power, so you probably don't want this running all the time. But let's see what we get. Let's see if we get lucky the second time before we call it quits for the day. See it flip back. Come on. Okay, we got coal again. That's unfortunate. But if we really wanted to, we could eventually just add a lever on here. Pretty much, there's a bunch of options as to where we could add levers onto here. But yeah, so we could just stop this and I can, oh my gosh, we can just grab everything out of here instead of adding a lever right now. That's going to go up to 39, so there we go. So now it should be done. It shouldn't fire anymore. and we got stuck with coal on the last block, but I'm actually a huge fan of this setup. It's very compact. I think this looks really cool. Hopefully you guys will make this in your world and get to enjoy it. Obviously, if you've got a ton of power coming in, you can easily increase the speed by making the timer go really, really fast. The only limitation on the speed, if you're using a, I guess, smooth stone generator and not placing smooth stone down manually or having a machine place it down, is going to be the rate at which the lava comes down, turns the water into smooth stone. Anything past that, and you can set it to go that fast. So feel free to have fun. Feel free to see how far you can push this. But hopefully you guys enjoyed today's episode. If you did, please feel free to give it a like, as it does help me out a lot. And I will talk to you guys later.